The potential within is released when you believe in yourself and your surroundings. Since you have the power to choose your surroundings, you also have the opportunity to create your own potential. Understanding a burning desire to reach for your dreams and knowing that dreams can come true creates a purpose in life that offers no limitation. I can be all that I want to be. I can give my family all that I want to give. I can be the person who makes a difference in society or in an individual's life. I can do all these things because I am convinced that it's okay to do them and it is okay to live my dreams. Hi, my name is Doug Dieter. I want to thank you for this opportunity that I have to share some information with you. The fact that this is even being created and that you're watching it is proof to me that the information I'm going to share with you in this presentation today actually works. What I ask you to do is pay attention, think deeply as you listen to the stories, and plug yourself in and find your own story. You were put here to be great. You were put here to aspire to be all the things that you want to be. Find yourself in these stories. Find what it is that might be holding you back. Find what it is that you want to do, and then go for it. What I hope you get out of today is to take a look at the things that might be laying around inside of you somewhere that we need to deal with, recognize, and then choose to ignore and move on to the greatness that you were put here to be. Story called Garage Doors and Orange Juice. And I will tell you that this one originated in my kitchen. It started long ago, but it originated here in North Carolina in my kitchen. I've got the real respect of my wife because she brings, for my wife I should say, because sometimes she brings out the ultimate truth in me. Sometimes I don't quite appreciate it when it happens, but if you're really open to it, it can really unlock some great things. And what I realized in this story is that I think sometimes in life, could it really be that something really insignificant a long time ago took place and still somehow holds you back? Could it honestly be that at the time I wrote this, in my 30s, seriously, a garage door or a glass of orange juice, something so seemingly insignificant, was something that was holding me back? So here's the story. I have never been the best at putting the garage door up and down at our house. Okay? It's not hard to do. You press the button, it goes down. You press the button, it goes up. But I would open it up in the morning and leave it up. And on hot days, the hot air would come in through the laundry room and into the kitchen. On cold days, the same would happen. But on this particular day, our big yellow lab found the recycling bucket. And he just enjoys plastic for whatever reason, and he was making his way in, grabbing something, taking it out the backyard, and shredding it, and then come back and get something else. And I was in the kitchen, I was at the refrigerator, and I was getting a drink, and Diane was over at the stove, and she turned and she said, you know, not for nothing, but why can't you put that garage door down? I mean, when it's hot, it comes in. When it's cold, it comes in. The dog's in and out. Neighbor kids come down, grab whatever they want, take it out, and we're left with the mess. Why can't you put that down? And I snapped a response back that if you seriously want me to put that garage door up and down and take a chance on breaking it, I'll put it down every time I walk in the house. And much like the looks on your face, she was like, are you serious? The reason you don't put it down is because you're afraid of breaking it? Well, much like you, I was chuckling, laughing it off. But deep inside, I was crying. Because it took me back to a moment that I remember being a little boy going for my bike. And at my mom and dad's house, we had that big old door, you know, that you picked up, didn't have the automatic on it. And the one time I went and picked it up, it went crack. And it broke. And if I wasn't hanging on to it, we would have fallen. And I remember my dad rushing out of the house. I remember him shoving the rake or the shovel underneath it to hold it up. And I'll tell you, that rake or that shovel stayed there until we moved out of that house. A little bit of history. I am so thankful for the family that I've got because they've taught me so much. My dad passed away about 5 years ago. And I can honestly say I feel closer to him now than I ever did because there's nothing hidden anymore. I can let everything out that I ever wanted to let out. And I learned the positive things to take out of some experiences that could be perceived as negative. When I was going into 5th grade, my parents went through an awful bankruptcy. And back then, it was a lot different than it is today. But I mean, when I say we lost everything, we lost everything. And we moved in with my grandparents. And it was a time when what I remember is that I never missed a birthday. I never missed Christmas. Sometimes Evel Knievel or a Hess toy truck was it. But I never missed. And I was always loved. So that's what I remember out of that. But when we finally moved back and got this house and we broke the garage door, things were still kind of tough. And I will never forget the frustration on my dad's face when I broke the garage door. And at this time, when I decided to listen to those tears that were inside, I went and I sat and I wrote Garage Doors and Orange Juice. And I will tell you that I cried like a baby when I wrote that story. And I had never shared it with Diane. So I called her in and I read it to her. And I cried again. And I still get emotional every time I tell the story. But that's when it hit me. That my dad wasn't upset with me for breaking his garage door. He was upset with himself because he didn't have the money to fix it. And I just happened to be there when it decided to break. What a relief. What a sense of, wow, freedom. The orange juice story isn't quite as significant, but it does play a role. And I thought about it. I grew up in a house where orange juice was expensive, right? I never got it in anything other than a little tiny glass. And again, I bring this back to Diane because when I would pour her a glass of orange juice at breakfast, I would never make it more than half full. And whenever she asked me for a glass of orange juice at times other than breakfast, I'd get a little bit irritated. I'm like, this stuff's expensive. You can't be drinking full glasses of orange juice at dinner time, right? Because it's expensive. Because that's what I grew up with. I grew up with expensive orange juice, and that's what I knew. And when all this came to me and the tears went away and the thoughts really happened, I thought, what a sense of relief. Could it have been that that garage door and that glass of orange juice was truly holding me back in some way, shape, or form from being everything that I could be? And when you begin to look at the positive things, here it now is a story that's going to be featured on a DVD. And what I want to share with you today is that I think every one of us has a garage door or a glass of orange juice somewhere in our past. And if we can find it, if we can pay attention to it, and then choose to ignore it, knowing the past always happened, and there's nothing you can do to change it, but you can change the way that you view it. You'll find the positive, you'll move past it, you'll ignore it, and you'll go out and become everything that you could possibly ever be. So don't let a glass of orange juice or a garage door hold you back. Because I think that you were put here to do something significant. I think that you were put here to do something special. And I think it'd be a real crime, it'd be a real sin if you didn't do everything with your life that you were put here and blessed with the talents to do. Not only for you, but for your kids. And for their kids, and so on, and so on, and so on. Have you ever had one of those weeks where it seems everything is going to happen at the exact same time? I call that decision week, and I know oftentimes we face that daily. In this particular decision week that I'm going to share with you, I had 3 major events that all ended up taking place on the exact same week, some of them on the exact same day. Now the problem is, as I made decisions as to where I needed to be in terms of these 3 big events, I didn't have all the information about all 3 at the same exact time in order to make one big decision. So this decision week was really a series of decisions. Now, let me put you into the picture a little bit. I've got some great friends. They're from the fraternity days back in school. I'm sure you can relate. 20-year-old friends. And these are going to be lifelong relationships, people that you really just enjoy spending time with. Well, they called me and they put together a golf trip. And we were going down to Pinehurst, North Carolina, and the famed number 2 was on the docket. Well, I, of course, said, I'm in. Committed to that, wanted to make it happen, and shortly after I made the commitment, I found out that a presentation I wanted to attend, and really a very good opportunity for me from a professional standpoint, was going to take place the exact same week down in Dallas, Texas. And I'd already kind of pre-committed to being there. What to do? This was a good presentation for me to attend. It was good for my professional career, and I was going to get introduced personally to someone that I've admired for a long time and have a chance to spend some personal time with them. So I struggled with this. My best friends or this presentation. I could attend the presentation in September again if it took place. I might not ever get the opportunity to spend this time with my friends again. What should I do? Well, I looked at it personally, professionally, where's the right place for me to be? And my wife helped me decide that the right place for me to be is to be involved deeply into my career. So at this point in time, I gave up golf in order to go for the career. At the time I made that decision, though, before I called my buddies, I had to get into a frame of mind to say, you know what, if they don't understand why I can't go play golf and why I need to go do this, well, then maybe I need to question just how well they understand me and just how strong our friendship is. So I sort of laid it on the line there for a second, and you know what? They came through. They backed me 110%. Felt bad that I wasn't going to be there, but completely understood why I needed to do what I needed to do. And their response was family and personal stuff first, golf second. Really appreciated that. It meant a lot to me, helped me in making my other decisions. So now I make this decision. I'm off to Dallas, Texas. I get the plane ticket, I get the hotel room, and I book myself to have a seat. And then shortly after that, they announce opening day of soccer season. Now I currently have 3 boys that all play soccer. My little girl's not playing yet, but she's up and coming. But my 3 boys are all playing soccer. They're on 3 individual teams, 3 different age groups. I couldn't decide which one I wasn't going to coach, so I coach all 3 of their teams. Now my little guy, my 5-year-old, it was his very first time ever on a team. It was his very first time ever to play an actual real live soccer game. And it's announced that it's going to happen on the same exact day that I'm supposed to be in Dallas. Well, I don't have to tell you, another decision was at hand. What to do? Do I do this what's best for my professional career, or do I do what's best for my kids? Will they understand if I'm not there? I struggled with it, and one time I was out for a drive, about a 2-hour ride to an appointment, and it really started to weigh on me. You're the guy that stands up in front of the room and tells everybody else they need to put family first. You're putting together this presentation, talk about how you shouldn't miss soccer games for business appointments, that family first and all else second. What are you going to say? Except for that time that you really needed to be in Dallas? I felt completely hypocritical, and I didn't feel like I was making the right decision. So I listened to my gut, and when I got back home, I sent an email to the people in Dallas, and I said, I've got to be at opening day of soccer. Prior to sending that email, I thought to myself, if they don't understand where my priorities are and why I need to be there, again, I had to lay it on the line and say, maybe I have to question why we're in business together. Well, it all worked out. They backed me 100% and said, you absolutely should be on those soccer fields. Well, that made my decision feel really right and really at home and truly justified. That night I went to the dinner table before I got the response back from the people in Dallas. And Justin, my little guy, he asked if he could say grace. And he did all the normals, thank you for this day and thank you for this food, I love my family. And then I kid you not, the very next words out of that child's mouth were, and I really hope my dad can make my first soccer game. Now folks, making the decisions that I made, how do you think I felt at that moment? I glanced up and looked over at my wife and I said, did he really just say that? I looked over at Justin and I saw that look on his face, and all I could think about was, what if I had made a different decision? I can't tell you how secure I became in making the decision that I made. So here we go. I'm not going to Dallas. I'm not going to Pinehurst. I am going to the YMCA soccer fields. And we get there on Saturday morning, and sometime between 8 o'clock Saturday morning and 9:30 Saturday morning, the temperature drops about 15 to 20 degrees. And about 9:35, just as I have my team lined up and we take our first lap around the field, it starts to rain. It almost starts to sleet. It's freezing cold. Everybody's complaining and beginning to walk around the field, and it eventually comes down hard enough that they cancel opening day of soccer. We load our things back up, we go back to the car, and I drive out of those fields, and here's what I thought. Okay, I didn't go play golf with my buddies. I didn't go to that important business presentation. And finally, I didn't coach opening day of soccer or see Justin play in his very first game. But folks, what I did do was I was justified because I made the right decisions all the way through. I drove home with a smile on my face, peace in my heart, and peacefulness about me because I made the right decisions all the way through. And my family, my friends, my business associates, and my entire team knew where I stood. And where I stood was family first, and everything else will come into place. That's my decision week. I'm sure you have decision weeks just the same. We've got to really pay attention to the decisions we make, especially when it comes to decisions we're making that affect a child. Again, back at that dinner table, how would I have felt if I made any other decision? Make the right decisions. Make the tough decisions. And you watch. Everything else will fall into place just the way it's supposed to. Well, we've been through Garage Doors and Orange Juice. We've been through a story called Decision Week. How do we now tie it all together? What am I supposed to do next is the question that you should be asking. What I want us to really walk away from today is realize that things happen and things are going to continue to happen. I want to go back and recognize those times with you that did happen. Those things that did happen to you that maybe up until this point you've internalized as negative. Next, we need to put the positive spin on those negative things and realize that now more things are going to happen. But as those new things happen, we've got a new spin on them, and it's a positive spin. In my personal story, I guess I could remember my dad as the guy that was mad at me for the garage door, if I wanted to. But in looking back on it, being thankful for the experience that brought me to where I am today, I end this by being thankful for the dad that I remember never missing a game, always being on my sideline, never missing a practice. And I'm sure that it's made me into a dad that doesn't miss soccer games and doesn't miss practices and puts family first, and everything else, I promise you, everything else will fall into place. I want you to really take a few minutes and just sort of think, where am I in that? Where do I find myself in those stories? Are there things that I need to deal with? Are there things that I need to bring to the surface? Things that have been laying there for a little while that I just need to pay some attention to? Is there something out there that's holding me back? Is there something out there that I've always wanted to be and I've just never done it? I want to encourage you to find the courage to dig deep, find the things that are holding you back, put them in their proper perspective, and move past them. You were put here to be a winner. You were put here to go to the top. You were put here to be all the greatness that you could possibly be. Find the courage and the strength to dig deep. Find the things that need to be put in perspective. Put them in perspective and move past it and go out there, believe in yourself, and become all that you can possibly be. The world is yours to conquer, and I encourage you to go for it, and I look forward to seeing you soon.